Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I'm so happy that you're here. Today we have another eyeshadow palette roundup. I have an eyeshadow addiction and I have been trying to not purchase recently. So a lot of these are older palettes. There are ones that I have been purchasing here and there, but definitely not as bad as when I first started YouTube or got into makeup really in the first place. I have just had a lot. These are all mini palettes, so they're 6 shades or less. I'm going to swatch all 6 shades or all 3 or 5 or whatever for each of these and kind of go through them, tell you which ones I liked, which ones I don't like. Go from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite that I wore this past month. I wore them one a day, and yeah, it's just crazy. If you haven't already subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Let me know if you have any of these palettes, if you got rid of some of these palettes, what your thoughts and opinions are on them. And don't forget to like this if you enjoyed it. And yeah, let's get into it. So my palette in last place is going to be this Urban Decay Boogie palette. And this is the 70s one. And the reason is because it irritated my eyes. And it was okay in a couple colors, but one, it has a chunky glitter in here, and then that eye irritation, you know, it's really hard to get over eye irritation, and that was a major issue for me with this particular palette. It's actually too bad that this irritated my eyes because I like some of the colors in here. I don't like the chunky glitter for sure. That glitter, that's what it looks like on there. You can see how patchy it is, right? I know it distorts the color, but this is what it looks like on my finger. It just does not want to come off of my finger. But I like this shade. This one was really pretty. I like the matte. This one is actually pretty nice. These, I think it was one of these two that was causing me the most irritation. Just super disappointing that it wasn't a better palette, that I couldn't get more use out of it. But I'm definitely decluttering this one. I don't even really want to pass this one along because I'm not sure why it irritated, but I really want to keep that one shade. Oh, that one shade is just so pretty. This top one right here, that shimmer. So pretty, but yeah, definitely last place. Not a recommend whatsoever. In the 30th position is one of my Pure palettes. This was their collaboration with Trolls World Tour, and they did several of these. I got, I think, 2 of these in my Trend Mood box, and then I decided to get the other ones. Probably shouldn't have done that. This is the Techno one, so this is obviously the blue palette, and if we know anything about me, we know that I'm not a big blue fan, and there are a couple blues in there. There's that chartreuse, and then there's like a brown and a kind of a weird gold. I'm not the biggest fan of these two, like the shade here and this gold shade. I don't like the formula on those shimmers. I much prefer the shimmer over here in the corner, which is this one right here. But that chartreuse is pretty lackluster, unfortunately, as most chartreuses. I have a hard time finding a good chartreuse. I found that this faded very quickly though, and just didn't look great on. The couple of the shimmers that I said were kind of it was an okay palette, but one that I will be decluttering because I don't think it's good enough. Like, I don't see myself reaching for it given the colors and given how it worked. Like, I would like the chartreuse once again. Like, there's one shade in these, but this one is it's pretty lackluster, so it's not necessarily one that I want to pick up, or necessarily one that I want to keep. These next 2 palettes might shock people a little bit given my love of this brand. So yeah, I have a Marc Jacobs. The next 2 are both Marc Jacobs. These are just the Marc Jacobs trios. They're not the full-size palettes, and you know, apparently Marc Jacobs is coming back, so I hope he fixes some of these. These were not my favorite, these 3 pans, because they had weird color stories in some regards, and then they just weren't the same quality, I felt, as the other ones. So this first one is the Glam palette, which is fine. It has 2 shimmers and then the matte. The matte is like almost a banana powder, basically. It's very powdery. It was very just like crumbly almost. It's kind of patchy. Not my favorite. I struggled to work with this one just a little bit. Let me grab my, just okay. I like 2 of the colors, which are those 2, but I was not a fan of that kind of banana powder one. The other 2 were fine, but it just wasn't great. This is on my question mark if I should keep it or not. I do really like those two shimmers there. It's just so hard to decide on like if I should keep it or not. The other one is also a Marc Jacobs trio. This is a purple one. This is called the Punk, and you have this one is the matte this time, and then you have two shimmers. The way that they put these in is just a little weird. I'm not sure how they decided which to make the largest color, which to make the smallest color. Doesn't always make sense. So that's what they look like swatched. They swatch a little better, I think, than this banana type powder. This is another one that I have a question mark on because I'm just like, I don't know if I want to keep it or not. I said very light, fades a bit, and it was just okay. There's some, I kind of like the colors, like as I'm looking at them, especially this kind of mauve shade on the top is very pretty. I don't know. I got to decide on these two. So any opinions would be very useful. So leave them down below. Next up, we have another Trolls palette. This is the Funk version, and it's obviously purple. I said it was okay. It's a bit bland. The colors are not as vibrant as the other one that we looked at, and we have another one that is very vibrant as well. So there's like some nice colors, but it's not super exciting. Yes, there is the one pretty shimmery shade, but if you look at that middle one on the side, it's barely there. You got a couple shades that are okay, just not super exciting. I said it was just okay. That was basically it. This is another one that's on my question mark if I should keep it or not. I'm leaning towards decluttering this one with the Techno one as well, just because I don't think I probably will reach for this. It's not like I'm a huge Trolls movie fan. I got two, and then I was like, but I want all of them because I'm a completionist, and that's literally the only reason why I purchased the other two, because I just felt like I needed all of them for some reason. Next up, we have Juvia's Place. This is the Berries by Juvia's, and I was really excited about this because look at those colors. Look at how beautiful those are. I don't think I got this in a Trend Mood box. I feel like I purchased this one, or could have gotten it in a Trend Mood. I remember that they had them at one point, and I was like, they were already on my list, so I wanted to pick them up. This one though, this one I had a question mark whether I would keep it or not, but I've decided to declutter this one. The shimmers are very pretty, the two shimmers that are there, but I feel like the mattes are just not great. We got some patchiness, it's very lackluster. The only one that's really vibrant is this hot pink here in the middle, and I don't love it enough to warrant keeping it for just that one. So I will be decluttering the Berries palette because I just don't think it is, it's just kind of not as good as I was hoping it would be, and not as good as other quality in this line. Like this is the most lackluster from this line that I feel. I also put that it was really hard to work with. So yeah, Berries is being decluttered, even though it got a little higher than some of these other ones. I just yeah. Next up in spot 25 is the Urban Decay soundtrack. This is the 2000s version, and we have some interesting colors in here. This is one that's also my, like, I don't know if I should keep it or not. I like this shade, especially this Y2K up here. I liked the gold well enough. The orange and the red were fine. They weren't like super exciting, but I like that shift on that one there in the middle. Like they're very pretty. I just don't know how much I would reach for them, and I felt like the look was just okay, if that makes sense. The other issue I had with this is that it faded as the day wore on, and I don't know. So I have some decisions to make with this one. The next one I have is also one that I'm like, it's a question mark if I should keep it or not. That one though, I'm leaning towards decluttering more so than other ones. So I messed up in my rankings somewhere, and this palette and the next palette I both ranked at 24, and I'm not really sure how I did that, but yeah, at least I think that I should be on 24. Yeah, this should be 24, so I don't know how I got two 24s at one point. First up, we have the Pure Times Trolls palette. This is the pop version, and it is the pink version. There are some very pretty shades in here. It was more lackluster than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be more boom in your face. As you can see, like these two shimmers here are pretty similar. There's a little bit of difference, but they're pretty light, and the mattes in here are just okay. They're not fantastic by any means. I kind of like this shimmer the best, which is this top shimmer right here. But it was an okay palette. It wasn't like outstanding. It wasn't like super exciting or anything like that. It is another one that is in my question mark. Should I keep it? Should I not keep it? At this point, I don't know. It's just okay. It's just okay. The other palette that I had at 24 is another Marc Jacobs. This is the last Marc Jacobs, by the way. This is the Shoegazer, and you have 3 shades in here. How did I get a hair somewhere? Oh, I don't know. I said that it was a bit hard to blend, but the shades were pretty. I think it's just hard because like you have a shimmer for where I would normally, like the shade that I would normally use in my crease, and then like a pop of blue. It was fine. I did not mark it as one that I was considering to declutter, so I guess that would make it a little higher than the Trolls, since that one I did have a question mark on. But I think I'll keep it. I don't know. Let me know. Now I'm second guessing myself since it's the only one that I had to keep out. I feel like maybe I should get rid of it. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, 20. I have it down as 23, but it's probably technically 22. I don't know. I haven't figured out which one I skipped over. This is probably going to be shocking that this is so far down for this brand, but there are a lot better palettes in here. It's a Natasha Denona. It is the mini Lila palette, which I think pretty universally people feel like this is not her best of the mini palettes. And while I do like some of the shades in here, it's a bit lackluster. It fades. It just doesn't perform as well as some of her other pieces. Honestly, I did not try that dark blue, purple shade, the shimmer, this one right here. I just went with the colors over here on the end, and they were fine. I like these two on the end the best, but it's not the same quality of Natasha Denona. It's okay. The mattes, like you can tell that first one is a little bit patchy, which is unusual for her. It's just, there's better ones, and you're going to see a lot of better ones because I went through a lot of Natasha Denona this past month. Next up, we have another of the Urban Decay. Are you sensing patterns like collections that I went through? This is the Pop Queen, which is the 80s version of their palettes, and I kind of like the colors in here, not gonna lie. You got some bright purple, you got a bright pink, you got that gold, you have this beautiful purple. That's probably my favorite shade right there, that top one right there. This one is kind of lackluster compared to the rest, but it's a nice little neutral pop in there that it's not too crazy, which I feel like otherwise it would be too crazy. I'm going to keep this one. I like the colors enough that I want to keep it. I said some are good, some are eh. This one is kind of nice. The pink is more eh than anything, but I think you can make it work. The gold is very, it's a different quality than the rest. It is so like out there compared to the rest, but I'm going to keep this one, even though I think at least one of these I'm getting rid of. I don't know. I don't need to keep all of them. I don't have to have collections. I just gotta let some things go. All right, in the 20th spot, 21st spot, something like that. I'm going to stop counting because I messed up numbers. We have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Eye Filter Luxury Palette. This I got a mystery bag from her at one point. I've also gotten a couple palettes in like, I think this might have been in an advent calendar actually. So you have 4 shades, 3 of them are shimmers, and 1 of them's a matte black. This is what they look like. It's not my favorite. I don't really know what to do with this. I like this top shade that you can see, like that's a very pretty one. The other 2 shimmers are fine. They're not really ones that I necessarily would find myself reaching for. And then you have the black. I feel maybe I should declutter this. This was not like on my list of declutters at all, but I don't know. And it's Charlotte Tilbury. Like, it's luxury. It's coveted, right? Like, it's one of those ones that you're like, oh. Not a brand that I go out and purchase from, really, because they're expensive. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to declutter it. We're decluttering it. Next up, we have my last of the Urban Decay palettes. This is the 1993 palette, or the 90s palette, and it definitely has kind of that grunge, but also that like Clueless feel to it with all of the plaid. And you have 6 shades in here. You have, you know, a couple lights, that pink and that blue and that white, and then you have a couple grungier shades, and you have that nice, I like this matte right there. That's such a good transition shade. So probably this one is my least favorite of the palette, but you have that green kind of shifty in there. It's really pretty. I do like this one. I don't think it's the best quality. It's Urban Decay. It's not the Urban Decay Shadow Box quality, and those I absolutely loved, and those were the ones I really loved, but not quite as good. But I would say it has much more of a presence than the Naked palettes, which I know people love, but they're not for me. I don't really jive with them that much, but this one is very nice, so I will definitely be keeping this one. Next up, we have another Natasha Denona. This is the Ayana, Ayana. It was a BoxyCharm exclusive that they did a while back. I picked it up for $12 because it was on the sale page at one point. And I mean, look at how lackluster those are, how light they are. It's a bit cool tone. It's a bit light in what it is. It's kind of disappointing, to be honest, for Natasha Denona. I don't feel like this is Natasha Denona quality, or maybe it's just the way that they picked out the colors. I don't know. I said the colors all were just too similar in nature to one another. Like they don't really have a lot of depth to them, except for that shimmer there on the end. But you know, you have this shade, and they're not very different from one another. So disappointing. Obviously, I'm keeping it because it's me and I'm keeping it. But it's just not exciting. I don't know. Maybe I should have put it on my baby chopping block. But it was just disappointing for Natasha Denona. I'm glad I only paid $12 for it instead of like $48, which is what that size normally is. Coming up next, we have another Natasha Denona. This is the Mini Star palette, and this is what the shades look like. There are some very pretty shades. I love the shifty shades on that. There are a couple nice mattes that just kind of complement, and I feel like overall this is a pretty safe palette for more glam looks, but also for, you know, you could wear this to work and it would still look not outrageous, if that makes sense. I did say that the shimmers were a bit lackluster, and I can see that a little bit. I think this one probably the most. It's there, but it could be more sparkly. It isn't as outstanding as some of the other Natasha Denona palettes that are out there, but I still like it and definitely will be keeping it and wearing it. Yeah, we'll be wearing it. Next one, this one really just comes down to preference. This is a little too cool toned for me, but I think it works beautifully. The shades worked really well. They blended really well. They looked pretty on the eyes. It's just a little too cool tone for me. This is the Mini Glam palette, and this is what it looks like. So there are some pretty shades in there, especially like this one here on the end. There are some nice shades in there. I think the two mattes are a good range. It's a little cool tone. Like I don't see myself reaching for this shade very much at all there, but it's a good quality palette. It's just not my favorite color story, hence why it's lower down in the list. I think this is the one that I skipped. This is the Chilla palette. This should have been number 16, but I have it down as 15. I skipped 16 in there. So we're finally caught up after this one, and the numbers from now on will be correct. This one, we got a lot of fallout with those shimmers. I don't know if you can see how it blended in down there. There are some pretty shades in here. I like the mattes more than the shimmers, just because the shimmers are so chunky and so, like, they're just, they do blend out, but they have more of a presence than I necessarily want. They're a little too foiled. That's the word I was looking for. But the mattes in here, I think, are really nice. I had to clean up some of the fallout on all over my legs. But yes, I do like, especially this matte right here. I think that one is really nice. The Cello palettes, you can pop in and out and replace them. This is the La Vie Neutral palette with, yeah. So I think it's nice. I'm going to keep it for now. I don't know if it's one that I'll keep forever, because I don't know if it's one that I will reach for that much. I'm going to put these back into a 4 for 4 eventually after I cleared out some of these, and we'll see. Well, I'll do a 3 for 3 since I've already worn them once, but we'll try them out for a few more days and see how things progress. Next up, we have the Trolls. We have another Trolls Pure palette. This is classical, and this is the most neutral of them all. You have kind of a lot of light shimmer shades in there, and you have 3 mattes as well. This was one that I was going to keep, but I think I'm going to put it in my possible declutter. I might get rid of all of the Trolls palettes just because I can. I like a couple of the shimmers. I like this shimmer kind of, well, now that I'm looking at them, I'm like, maybe I don't love them that much. This is that really foiled material again. I'm not a big fan of that as an eyeshadow. It just looks a little heavy and like wrinkly on my eyelids, and I don't really like that. And I don't like the feel of it. So yeah, I think I'll put this in my possible declutter pile as well. It's fine. Let's see what I said. Looks pretty and lasts, and some of them are chunky. So that's basically what I just said. Yeah, I think that's going to be in the maybe pile though. So I'm using makeup wipes for most of these, but I've already gone in and washed my hands twice. One because of staining, and then the first time because of that chunky glitter. I didn't want to contaminate anything else, but I think I'm going to need to do it again because my hand is just, I don't think it's picking up my camera, but it's just glitter, like just sparkle everywhere. This is a Lorac palette. This is the Unzipped Brazen palette. I got these because I loved the Unzipped palettes and Unzipped Gold, and I had like the Sunset and those ones too, and I really enjoy those. These have a much different formula than the Pro palettes, and I like this formula a little bit more. The mattes are really soft and blendable, and the shimmers are pretty nice as well. They're pretty soft. They're not, you know, blingy in your face like some of the ones that we've seen recently, but this was a nice enough palette. That's what I said, pretty enough, works okay. I'm going to keep it. I don't think it's the most outstanding palette, but I think it kind of does the job. It has its own, you know, tried and trueness to it. So it's staying, it's a good everyday palette. Like I could see myself wearing this to work a lot. This next palette has a lot of the same reviews as my last one. Bit boring, works well, you know, works well for work. It is a Bobbi Brown palette. This is the Essentials, and it's Burnished Bronze 2. So in here you have 3 shimmers and 2 mattes. So you have the dark matte and the light matte, and then you have 3 shimmers. The 3 shimmers are nice. There's a little bit of depth to them. It's another good everyday kind of work palette. I would have probably liked a medium brown matte in there, just so, because I feel like this I would probably use as a crease color just a little bit more than the dark or the light. But it's a serviceable palette. It lasted well. It looked pretty on. It was easy to work with, which is a good thing sometimes. In the 11th spot, we have Natasha Denona. This is the Mini Retro palette, and there are some interesting shades in here. I like the pinks a lot, and I wish I would like the greens. The greens are a little, like the green shimmer is nice, but I feel like the brown is kind of like almost, I mean, the green is almost like a cool tone brown instead of a brown, but I do like the pinks in there. You have kind of a topper over here on this side, and then you have a more traditional shimmer over on the other side. I really like that traditional shimmer more so than the topper. There you go. So I do like this one. It's not my favorite. I don't reach for it a ton because of those more cool tone greeny brown shades. I don't love those, but I do like the other shades in here. So it is a keeper, but we have some fabulous ones that I really love coming up. We've made it through the top 10. That means we've gone through 21 already. In the 10th spot, we have a Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Easy Eye Palette for the Charlotte Darling look. And there's a day eye and a date eye. I mix them up. I do not use them based on the 3 and the 3 because it would be day eye, date eye. At least that's what I think, even though it shows backwards here, but that's what I feel like. If I'm looking at the back and when I flip it over, that's what I'm going to think. So you have 6 shades in here. This is what they look like. It's beautiful. They blend really well. They're nice and soft. The shimmers are, you know, have a punch to them, but they're not like overwhelming in any way, and they're not like that foiled that looks or feels heavy on your lid. It's just, it's a very pretty palette. It's very kind of basic and boring and warm toned, but I do enjoy it. So yes, that's why it's 10th and definitely staying. You probably thought we were done with colorful palettes, right? You're wrong. We have one more from Juvia's Place. This is the Violets palette, and I got this at the same time as the berries, but this quality is so much better than the berries. There are only 2 mattes in here, these 2 on the end, and then there are 4 shimmers, and these shimmers are where it's at. The mattes are, you know, a little patchy, a little lackluster. I did actually double swatch that one because it was just not showing up. But look at this shimmer up here at the top. Look at this one. I love those 2 shimmers, these 2 right here. So definitely keeping this palette because of those. The mattes take a little work to blend out so they're not patchy and they look okay. The shimmers go on so well and they last forever. So if you just want shimmers, this is a great one. I would keep it just for the complimentary, you know, to use it with other things when I want a burst of color, or, you know, not even so much a burst of color, just a really beautiful shimmer. This one is good. We have a Wayne Goss. This is my only Wayne Goss palette that I have. Sorry, trying not to blend it with the leaves. This one I said was nice enough, good quality, but it's boring. It's just not exactly like awe-inspiring or anything. The mattes don't really swatch that well. They worked really well on the eyes because they were soft and blendable, but they don't look very great here swatched. I had better luck with them working on the eyes. The shimmers are nice. You have like, you know, almost like a toppery type one over here on the corner. This is probably my favorite shade, that shimmer there. The other shimmer is fine. I have no use for the black, especially since it's a gigantic black. If this was the only black eyeshadow that I had and it was to last me for the rest of my life, it probably would still be there. That's just how much I don't like black. I don't do black eyeshadow. So yeah, that's it. It's nice enough. Not something I'd rush out and purchase another one of unless there was a better color story. Like, I would need something that the color story just went to buy another one. Sorry, Wade. I love you and I love the channel. Just it's not my color story. This next one I said was pretty easy to apply and lasts. And this is from YC Collection. This came in an Ipsy, and I have no idea what it is. Other than that, I can tell you the shades. Maybe. Sun El Alba, Earth, and Peach. There we go. You just got 4 shades there. The shimmers have a lot of presence to them that this one doesn't have much to show because it's basically my skin color, but they all worked well and it was a nice look. So yeah, YC Collection. Be interested to try more from the brand. It's not a brand that I'm familiar with, but based on the quality of these, pretty nice. Last palette before we get into the top 4, we have a Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Exaggerize Bigger Brighter Eyes filter, and this was in a gift with purchase, I think, or could have been in a advent calendar. I couldn't think of the word. There we go. So we have 4 shades. There's 1 matte and 3 shimmers. One is more of a topper. They were pretty. They worked well. They're kind of, I had a hard time with this color story. I wanted either like a different matte, like another matte, or something different. I don't know. Like, it's fine. I just feel like it wasn't the most cohesive palette to work with. But I really like the quality of it, especially the two top shimmers and the matte. The topper is my least favorite bit of it. But I'm not Charlotte Tilbury, so I didn't put it together. That's the only reason it didn't get up higher, is because I felt it was pretty, but I got more out of the top 5 palettes. Top 5, we have a Sunset mini palette from Natasha Denona. This is so much better quality than the other mini palette, Lila, from about the same era. Just really lovely quality. There's 2 mattes in here. I was thinking that one was a shimmer. No. So we have the 3 shimmers and the 2 mattes. It's just, you know, you have your 2 basics in there, and then you can experiment and have a little variety of looks with the 5 shades that are given as well. Quality is great. Just, I love it. It's such a good palette, and definitely one I would recommend. We've gotten to the recommend phase. Yes, I would recommend this palette. All right, in 4th place, we have the Mini Love palette. There are some beautiful shades in here. It's a little dark for me. Just, you know, you have to have more of a special occasion for this palette. It's not an everyday palette for sure, but there are some beautiful shades. I mean, look at that. That matte in the middle did not swatch the best, but this matte I am in love with. I love these 2 shimmers on the end. Oh, just so pretty. Definite love on the Mini Love. And yes, would definitely recommend this one too. I think they did such a good job on it. All right, in 3rd place, this might surprise a lot of people. I'm putting in a Too Faced palette. I know, absolutely shocking, but it's so good. The reason that this is going in there is it works really well. The color palette is just great, and it lasts, and it's pretty. It's my Mini Clover palette. I don't know if it's called the Mini Clover, but it's the clover that actually looks like clover. And in here, we have 6 shades. You have 3 mattes, one that's like a sequence shade, as Tati would call it, and then 2 shimmers. And it's just so pretty. It's such a great everyday palette. You have your light color. You have the 2 like creases that I use, and then you can darken it up just a little bit, or you can darken up with the shimmer. I love this palette. I think the quality is really good. This is the roughest of all of them, and that's because it also has that, you know, that sequiny in there. It has like the glitter in there, but it's a matte. It's an excellent palette, and I really, really love this palette. Definite recommend if you can get your hands on it still. I love it. In 2nd place, I put that this is like my ideal palette. It's just so pretty, so easy to use, and just a great overall palette. It's also the smallest of all the palettes. It is this little trio. This is the Retro palette. It's just a trio of the shades from the Retro palette, and there are 3 shades right there. So nice. I can just make a really easy look, you know, crease, little outside corner, and then over the lid, and super easy to work with. Really nice quality. I love it. It's such a good one, but it wasn't as versatile as the other one, and doesn't bring me quite as much joy as my number 1 pick. All right, my number 1 palette is the Cranberry palette from Natasha Denona. Fortunately, I don't think this is available anymore, but oh my gosh, I love this. This has 2 of her like cream to matte shadows in here, and then you have the 3 shimmers. I love these 2 mattes. They are unlike anything else in my collection. They just, they go on, and they look so pretty. They look a little diffused, which I absolutely love. Like, I don't know if you can tell that. And oh, I just love them. I love the shimmers in here, especially that purple. Oh, it's so beautiful. Love this palette. It makes me so happy every time I wear it. I absolutely love it. So yes, the Cranberry palette is my number 1 palette from the past month. Let me show you my ones that I'm decluttering and the ones that I'm considering decluttering. So all in all, I'm going to declutter 4. I'm going to declutter the Hollywood Eyes, or Flawless Eye Filter by Charlotte Tilbury, the Trolls Techno palette, the Urban Decay Boogie palette, and the Juvia's Place the berries. These are the 4 that I am definitely letting go. Then we have the ones that I'm debating on. We have 3 Marc Jacobs. We have the Shoegazer, the Glam, and the Punk. Let me know your thoughts if I should keep them, keep one of them, keep 2 of them, keep all of them, keep none of them. I don't know. I'm a completionist. I like to have little collections, you know? Then we have my Trolls palettes, the other ones. We have classical, we have pop, and we have funk. Let me know if you think I should keep them or just let them go all together as a group. I'm kind of leaning towards that. So confirmation, please. That would be awesome. Let's be honest, I'm probably not going to get rid of my Natasha Denona Lila palette, but it is in this, like in the maybes, not as good. And then I have my 2 Urban Decay palettes, the Pop Queen and Soundtrack. I'm tempted for a couple of the colors in here to keep it, but I also, like, I don't know. And then the same with this one. I'm leaning towards keeping these. So let me know what your thoughts and opinions are down below. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. I can't believe that I went through this many palettes. What is wrong with me? Anyway, I'm not buying as many, I promise. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. And I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.